What is up, football fans? We are back for another installment of Bros Talk Football. I'm Jesse.
I'm Jake, of course.
Back from a week of vacation. I was on a little bit of a hiatus.
You look a little bit more tan, you know?
Hey,
I kind of like
you know,
it. About time.
It's not saying much. I tend to be a pretty pale guy.
So, starting off, as we said in our first week of segment, we were going to talk about our things we were right about.
Things we were right about. I'm so excited for this moment.
We were right. That first week video, we told you, you know what? Patrick Mahomes is going to be down.
We told you he had a cannon.
We told you he was going to be playing from behind. He was going to be throwing the ball a lot. And sure enough, he's been slinging that rock like nobody else's business. He's passing it. I can see him with a lot of completions this year. I mean,
first quarterback in history with 10 touchdowns through the first two games of the season, and he's a rookie. Yeah. Unbelievable. Guy is a monster.
This guy is going off.
Full disclosure, he's on pace for 80 touchdowns. That will not happen.
Yeah.
So there's some regression coming, but 2 to 3 touchdowns a game is not unreal.
Second thing. This
is you and John last week. They did a great job. I'm gonna give a little round of applause.
Thank you
for John. He did a fantastic job. Jake holding down the fort. This was their prediction last week that the Bucks were gonna pull it out over the Eagles. People called him crazy.
They called me crazy.
People yelled at him on the internet.
Shout out to all the people on Instagram that said I was crazy for thinking about this. But you know what? That Ryan Fitzmagic money, baby. He's going off.
Good.
And he's doing his thing out there in Tampa Bay. And you know what? I think he's going to continue. I'm going to ride that guy until the magic wears out.
Week 6, he just throws 4 picks, and then Jameis Winston doesn't do much better, but somehow becomes the starter again.
Next thing we were right about.
Stream Will Dissly this week.
Streamer is Dissly from Seattle.
Will Dissly, I like that guy.
Will Dissly, yeah.
Sure, it was a garbage time touchdown, but he had a significant amount of yards, receptions, had a touchdown. I mean, what more can you ask for from a tight end? At least about 10 points.
That's things we were right about. That's kind of the way that's going to go. We're basically just flexing on everybody watching when we do this.
The topic of the week is power rankings going into week 3.
We have not seen what the other person is going to say.
Never.
So if we agree, that's pretty wild. I mean, we probably will on a couple of things. Might not in other areas. That's where it gets fun to me.
You just never know.
You just never know.
My number 5 comes in at the Kansas City Chiefs.
All right.
Kansas City Chiefs, you know, we've been high on Patrick Mahomes. They beat the Chargers in a battle, you know. They're going to be a sneaky team to keep an eye on, and I believe that if they can keep up this pace of play that they're having now, like you said, the 80 touchdowns is not realistic. But if they can keep this momentum and this chemistry going down, they could definitely be spoilers this year. So I'm liking number 5 for Chiefs.
I do not have the Chiefs on mine, which may surprise you.
That's fine.
They are 2-0. They have played 2 decent teams.
Yep.
I will tell you really quickly before I move on to my 5th pick. The reason I don't is, one, I see a Steelers team that's in turmoil, and they barely edged it out over them.
But it was the Steelers at home, though.
It was a shootout. They came out on top, but I think that defense has to step it up for me to be a top 5. My number 5, I got the Green Bay Packers, a 1-1 team cracking my top 5.
1-0-1 team.
1-0-1. You're right.
Correct.
You're right. Thank you for the correction. And the reason for that being, I just never will count Aaron Rodgers out.
Nor
if
will
he is
I.
healthy or on the field, I believe there's no team they cannot beat any given day. He played what I think is the number 2 defense in all fantasy football, or not fantasy, just football in general.
NFL. Even though he got outthrown by Kirk Cousins.
I mean, yeah, but Kirk Cousins, whatever. That's another thing altogether. I think anytime Aaron Rodgers is on the field, the Packers just become a top 5 team.
I think that the Bears beat themselves, and they were playing to not lose the game, that week 1 matchup, rather than to win. That second half, they went into it all gelling. They started to be creative and too cute with plays, getting caught up for losses, a lot of punts, a lot of first down streaks. I mean, yes, Aaron Rodgers came back, had a phenomenal game, slaying the rock around like we said, like Patrick Mahomes, nobody else's business. But I feel like the Bears lost that game more than the Packers won.
With all that being said, what do you got for your number 4, Jake?
Number 4, I'm coming up with the New England Patriots.
Okay.
Tom Brady, the GOAT, in my opinion.
Yep.
They had a little rocky week last week versus the Jags. They have a lot of weapons still on offense. They still have Bill Belichick. I'm not counting them out at all.
Josh Gordon.
They just picked up Josh Gordon. If you guys saw that breaking news within about a couple minutes of it being announced, bros_talk_football on Instagram. We bring you breaking news. They're going to continue to roll, and they're going to continue to, full steam ahead on that offense led by Tom Brady. And I think that they're a solid number 4 pick for the power rankings.
I actually have the same as you there.
Okay.
For a lot of the reasons you mentioned, so we won't dive too far in past that. Can we just acknowledge how smart the Patriots front office is with this Josh Gordon signing? If he does not if he is not active for 10 games, they don't have to give that pick away.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for them.
Do you ever sit, I don't know how the fans feel at home, do you ever sit, whether it's any sport, you sit at home and you think, why isn't my team going after that guy?
Yep.
It's more of almost a common sense pick for the Patriots to pick up Josh Gordon.
It makes so much sense.
Right? My number 3, I'm coming in with the Rams, full effect. For being from LA, gotta love the Rams. But you know what? I don't see them breaking top 2. They played a pitiful team in Arizona last week. That was a blowout. I mean, anybody could have ran behind that O-line. Credit to the O-line for the Rams. Then you come against another blowout win against the Raiders. The Raiders really don't have an identity right now. They traded away Khalil Mack like 2 weeks before the season. John Gruden, I don't know if he knows what he's doing anymore behind there. They're 0-2. They blew a game last week versus the Broncos. Shout out to the Broncos. I mean, I enjoy me some Broncos.
Game.
Shout out John Albee and the family. Those two back-to-back Arizona Cardinals and Raiders, that just doesn't impress me now. Doesn't show me a lot, but I know the weapons they have. They have everything with Cooks and Woods and Gurley, and they have all the options. I get it. But right now, I'm just not going to put them in my top 2 from playing 2 subpar teams at the moment.
I see a lot of that logic. I won't give away anything.
Okay.
I was going to my number 3.
Okay.
Yeah. My number 3 here is your Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
Which probably comes as no surprise.
No,
this is a fantastic squad. I already said I think they're the second best defense in football right now. This is insane. This is the same team that was probably the best team in the NFC last year. I think the Eagles got hot at the right time and happened to beat them. I do not think the Eagles are that much better than the Vikings. Totally happens, especially in football where it's 1 game elimination. So they're the same team they were with a far better quarterback.
Yes.
And I think there's no limit to how far this team can go.
There isn't, because now with the newly acquiring of Dan Bailey, shout out to our kickers. Hopefully the curse is gone and just kind of release it. We signed Sheldon Richardson from Seattle last year. I mean, we're beefing up everywhere. My number 2 is my Vikings.
All right. So let me ask you, because you're gonna probably list a lot of the same stuff as I'm saying here, but what do you think gives them the edge over the Rams?
If the Rams could go into Lambeau, which is one of the most
hostile places to
play a game.
There.
If you can go in there and shut down Aaron Rodgers, in a sense, it's harder to beat the 49ers. 49ers could have beat us that week 1. They had a lot of opportunities, a lot of wide open shots. So
here's what I'm saying. How do you give it to the Vikings for the number 2 spot?
I'm talking about records right now. Arizona and Raiders, or 49ers, Jimmy G, and Aaron Rodgers, the top 2 quarterback in the league, barring the injury. But fair. In Lambeau. All right. I'm taking my Vikings at number 2.
All right. Here's the reason I've got the Rams over the Vikings. It's all about those offseason additions they made. I thought they were pretty level last season. And granted, the Vikings picked up Kirk Cousins, but all of the upgrades that the Rams made at every single position, they're unreal. Brandon Cooks has quietly been one of the most productive receivers in the NFL this year. He's 30 yards.
Okay.
People don't even realize that. He doesn't have any touchdowns. I get that, but you've got Todd Gurley. What are you going to do? Then they got to keep Talib and Marcus Peters. That's one of the best cornerback cores we've seen probably in the last 10 years. It's fantastic. I know Keith's kind of aging, but Marcus Peters definitely is not.
No. They've
got one of the most fantastic defensive lines that kind of rivals the Legion of Boom. They played these bad teams to start the season, but the teams they've played, they've absolutely made them look stupid.
Of course.
Okay. The Cardinals are bad. They beat them 34-0. A shutout's it's nothing to scoff at. I'll say out of all of the ranking for these top 5, that was the hardest decision to make, was where to put those 2.
Yeah.
Because I think they're very close.
Yes.
I really do. I mean, even the top 3, you could go any way with these.
Yeah.
But I think...
going into week 3, that's how I stacked mine up,
Right.
Not looking at into the future or how, bolstered, whatever.
Now, I haven't seen who your number 1 is, but I'd imagine if they're not anywhere else in your top 5, they've got to be your number 1.
Yes.
Obviously, that's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes, Jags going into week 3. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, can Blake Bortles keep up his consistent play? Not outstanding.
Right.
He's going behind it kind of a little bit more of a reminiscent of the Case Keenum and the Vikings last year. Very, very strong defense, probably the best defense in the league last year. Very mature. But I am still not sold on Blake Bortles. Now, yes, they beat, in the first week, they beat the Giants, which aren't that great. Aren't that great. 20-15, they should have beat them more, to be completely honest. You should have been a 14-point game.
Yeah, that's the one caveat to all
But the thing is that if you can go and shut down Tom Brady the way they did in that 31-20 win, I'm giving the Jaguars the edge this week going into week 3. Now, will they be number 1 all year? No. Will the Vikings be number 2 all year? No. Could the Rams be number 1 next week? Sure. Could the Chiefs be number 2 next week? Sure. But going into week 3, I'm having the Jacksonville Jaguars over the Vikings and the Rams, just how the consistency that they've played. and the opponents that they played and how they've played them. And that defense is nothing to mess around with for sure.
Unless you are like the greatest show on turf, you do not win the Super Bowl without being the best defense. Most of the time. I'm 100% on the same page with you there.
Yeah.
There's nobody as a Rams fan or as a Niners fan, those are my teams, whatever, as a football fan that I would not want my team to play, or that I would want my team to play less than the Jaguars.
Jaguars number 1, Vikings number 2, Rams 3, Pats 4, Chiefs number 5 on my list.
All right, and I've got the Jags number 1, Rams number 2, Vikes number 3, Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, at number 4.
Yep.
Who, let's be honest, any of these teams could win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And the Green Bay Packers with a healthy Aaron Rodgers. That's the one kind of bugaboo here. You got to have a healthy Aaron Rodgers. If you don't have a healthy Aaron Rodgers, they're like below 15. That's our top 5 fantasy rankings for the week. Let us know in the comments below. Message us on Instagram. Do whatever you got to do. Let us know what you think.
What is your top 5?
Are we wrong? What's your top 5? We'll tell you why you're wrong. That's our job.
And the things that we're right about.
Yeah, things that we're right about.
My waiver wire guy of the week, Geronimo Allison. We told you that he had a tough matchup in the Vikings.
Pick this man up.
Yeah, pick him up. Now, we said he might be a stash. He's going to be more valuable in the future. He had about 6 receptions for 64 yards and 6 targets. I mean, 6 for 6 with 64. I mean,
you take that, man. If you're looking for
half
a flex,
PPR or PPR league, you're loving it as well. But Geronimo Allison times 2.
One of my guys, another wide receiver here, I'd say pick up Calvin Ridley.
Yeah,
I don't think you play him right away. But if you watch this dude in college at all, you know
he's a freak athlete.
He's a monster.
My second guy on the waiver wire this week is Corey Clement, the Philadelphia Eagles running back. With Sproles out in a hamstring injury, Jay Ajayi kind of got banged up for 2 quarters last week. He saw some touches. Now, this isn't a guy that I'm going to say that go out and grab him, please, sacrifice all your stuff for. But if you're in like a 12-team league, he's worth to put him on your bench or your roster. Now, whether you play him or not, it all depends on the injuries. He gets a lot of looks in a sense when it comes to different looks on the offense, whether they want to just throw it or pitch it to him on the side. If Joe Mixon did get hurt, like he got hurt, he's going to be out for a couple weeks. If you can't find a better replacement and Corey Clement's still out there, start him in your flex.
My last waiver wire pickup just got re-signed. I'm just sick of seeing good teams like the Vikings lose because their kicker can't make it happen. Yeah. So I'm just excited on that front. I think Dan Bailey.
Dan Bailey, kicker.
Dan Bailey, kicker for the Minnesota Vikings.
1 year, $2 million deal. They want to win, and they want to win now.
They absolutely showed that.
So I'm loving that pickup by the Minnesota Vikings and Dan Bailey. Stream of the week. So you play this guy this week.
Play this guy this week. I've got Ryan Fitzpatrick against Pittsburgh. Obviously, like if you've been paying any attention to football whatsoever, you know this guy has absolutely erupted to start this season.
Or if you've been paying attention to Bros Talk Football episode 2 last week, we told you Fitzmagic was going to have the magic, and boy did he. And he upset those Eagles like we said.
But I think this is a good matchup for him. We just saw last week with Pat Mahomes against the Steelers.
Slang that rock
it became
around,
a shootout, and that's what's going to happen right now, especially like the Steelers kind of show that they don't fully trust James Conner, especially playing from behind. And if the Bucs come out hot like they have, I mean, I don't see any reason why Fitz can't go off.
My streamer of the week, Jesse James. He's owned in about 10% of leagues. That Tampa Bay defense has been really generous in just past history in the last 2 weeks against tight ends. He's had 10 targets, 200 yards, and about, I think, 1 touchdown in the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
I mean,
he's a safety blanket there for Ben Roethlisberger.
Yes,
exactly. He's almost a check down guy, basically.
I say he performs this week and gets you that extra edge over your fantasy opponent.
Fantastic. No disputes here.
No.
What do you say we call it good for the week?
We call it good, but last thing is bold prediction of the week.
We normally won't share these, but we'll kind of get to them in content on Instagram. But we wanted to say it on camera in case it happens.
Again.
We think
that DP is going to be great. Dog pound the Browns.
Over the Jets this week.
They're
finally going to pick up a W.
Yep.
Jets did not look like that good this last week. Sam Darnold's been kind of overrated these first 4 weeks. We think they've hyped him up.
And the Browns have been so close.
They've been so close. They almost beat Drew Brees. That Saints team is not awful.
No. And you know what? This is the 3rd week. 3rd time's a charm. Browns get their first win of the season. Yes.
Absolutely.
Dog
Heard it here first.
That's it. Bros Talk Football. Follow us on Twitter, bros_talk_ff. Send us your Twitter questions if you have Twitter, not Instagram or YouTube. Instagram is bros_talk_football.
24/7, anytime you need it.
That's right. This is Bros Talk Football, and we're out. How is the lighting? Do you see? Is it shadowy or?
Everything's great.
Everybody see my Adam's apple and they know how manly I am?
We got you.